Did you know that everything you're seeing right now is in a frame? Well, multiple frames, but Welcome back to Sculknet, which is my series on essentially trying to take and design the internet, or more or less emulate it in Minecraft. It's really cool, and we're going to be looking at some of the major components and data throughout the series. First thing is, what was that intro about? It's because data is actually put into frames. You might be thinking of a picture frame right now, right? You know, nah, that's not what it is. And we're going to be talking about throughout this video what the major components of what's called a data frame is. So let's hop right to it. So the first data frame is your to data frame. Now, you might be wondering, why is the first component of your data frame the to data frame? Well, because if we were to just take, and we'll grab some black wool, and we were to make this line, and let's just say your data travels along this line, and you have computer 1, well, you have computer 1 here, you have computer 2 here, you have computer 3, and you have computer 4. Well, you want them to know as soon as possible whether they need to be paying attention to what's going across this line. They're always looking, but they're not like, hey, you know, like, this is data for me, man, I need to pay very close attention, taking that in. The components that manage that is called a NIC, or Network Interface Card. This ID, or to part of your frame, lets them know what it is. And there are different formats for that we'll be going over once we look at this ugly circuit that I've designed for the to frame. So the next frame is your from frame. Now this is mostly for validation, but it's also to let them know, hey, a response is required for this. And oftentimes you'll also see it for validation purposes with things called an ACK, or an acknowledgement frame, which is just a short bit of data that says, hey, I've received this frame, we can keep on going. Just to make sure that signals don't get crossed, destroyed, or lost. Because networks, weird things can happen on a data network. And we will be experiencing that once we make more complex and automated systems with Sculknet. We're nowhere near that point, so probably won't have to worry about this frame. My data frame design. So this is the full data frame that we'll be working with. You'll notice that there's these two lines here, and I've just put a question mark. That's because there are other things that you'll typically find. If you go check out the IEEE 802 standard for internet, which there's all sorts of subdivisions of it, there are some other data points, and I'm gonna be going through those to see what exactly we're gonna be pulling from them. So this is directly inspired by the IEEE internet standards that are actually used in the real world today. That's why most of this uses 8 bits, our internet uses 16, but because it's Minecraft, 8 is probably the best. Technically, we could probably go with 4, but I prefer 8, just because of size. So the next stage is your data. So the data within a data frame is the core chunk of it. You know, this is what you want. This data is just a series of instructions. This is really going to depend on, 1, the device you're sending it to, 2, what type of information you want to send. So this is really a blank canvas. This is what you want to send, and this is where things like calculations for something like overhead come from. The amount of data to all this other garbage, and that's why I might extend the data frame as well. Before you finish out your frame with our closing component, you're also gonna do a checksum. What does a checksum actually do though? Well, what it is it basically says, okay, this is the sum of all your data. Oftentimes, it's actually like the reverse of that, what's called a ones complement of that sum. And that just ensures that the data has been transferred properly. And if it's not, right, so if your checksum that your receiver's getting is not the same as the checksum that it was sent, then it knows, hey, something went wrong, a bit got corrupted, something like that. And so it's going to basically tell whoever sent it, yo, data's bad, I need that frame again. Can you send it back, please? We'll be talking about those things in other episodes. Don't want to touch on them here, but make sure to be subscribed, because you'll never know when that comes out. And the final thing is our stop code. The stop code basically tells the NIC card, right, your network interface card, what the data that it has received is done. So, hey, this is your starter frame when it receives the 2, and this is your end of frame. Sometimes there will be like an extra bit maybe here on the beginning of about 4 bits, we'll say 3, 4, that will have a very specific code that says, hey, there's data coming, pay attention, which is oftentimes maybe like a series of 1s or a specific number of 1s, such as 5. That's actually what's commonly used now, and we'll go through processes like bit stuffing and things like that that really encourage you on that design. So this has been a general overview of how data works, how your NIC cards, network interface cards, know when to look for your data using the 2 component, how they know who sent it and who to send stuff back to, as well as the standard IEEE 802 that we are basing Sculknet off of. The data and your checksums and your closing, just the general structure of the data frame. Now, for those of you who are used to my channel, I used to try to keep videos to 10 minutes. These videos are going to be a bit different. So with the mod pack video I made a while back, I realized that honestly, shorter tutorials are 100 times better. Easier to manage, more information, and better to work with. Now, once everything is done and set for, I'm going to download all those videos, or probably what I'll do is have a running project that once I'm done with a video, I cut the excess off, things like this that you don't need to see, and put it into one major video that will be probably at the beginning of the playlist once the series is relatively done or is large enough where we've got maybe a 20 to 30 minute video on the topic. And I'll add spacers and stuff like that so people know this is what's going on. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, and also check out my friends. They're all in the description down below. If you enjoy me, you might enjoy them for other types of content. Without further ado, this is Negative Light signing out, and God bless y'all.